Hello and welcome to another Wizard Wenzel Yugioh video. In this video, we are going to be doing some test hands for the Danger Tearlaments deck. So I've got the deck right here, shuffled up, ready to go. If you're more of a Spright gamer, stay tuned in the coming weeks. I have the deck mostly built. I'm just waiting for a Spright Blue to come in the mail. And then I'll be able to do test hands and gameplay with that deck as well. So let's get right into it. So Danger Tearlaments, very high risk, high reward deck. So we got Mystic Mine, Gizmek Orochi, Super Polymerization, Pot of Desires, and Tearlaments Merely. That should be a Primeval Planet Paralino, but unfortunately I don't have the third one, and I'm not going to pretend that it is one right now. So I think at this point, you just have to normal the Merely and get the Mill 3 effect. So you go Snow, Jackalope, and Sullic, and you're going to use Sullic effect to search. Because you've already normaled this turn, you don't want to grab Reinhardt. You're going to grab the Tearlaments Shearing. We're going to use Shearing effect to summon itself, send the Gizmek from our hand to graveyard, and mill 3 cards. So Super Poly, Merely, which is good. We hit a tier name finally. We're able to do something. So you can go Merely Fusion effect. You can use itself and the Jackalope in order to go into Mud Dragon of the Swamp. At this point, I want to get to a ideal board is, I think at this point, yeah, you have 3 monsters. You can get to the Spright Elf. You can do Spright Elf IP. So 2. Elf. You go Elf effect, summon the Merely back. You can go Link 2. Into IP Masquerena. Now this is a pretty powerful board, especially since we already have the Fairy Tale Snow and the Gizmek Orochi engraved. What this is going to let us do is, on your opponent's turn, you're going to be able to go Chainlink 1 Spright Elf to summon back the Merely. If they have no response, you can go Chainlink 2 IP Masquerena. You turn both of those into a Topologic Bomber Dragon. And then the Elf resolves, and you get the Merely. So that's going to turn into Chainlink 1 Topologic Bomber because it's mandatory effect, Chainlink 2 Merely. So you're going to get to mill 3. And then blow up the board. You're going to then get Merely effect. So you can fusion using itself and Mud Dragon. To go into Dragos Tapalia. So looking at that, pretty mediocre looking hand. Didn't take a lot of resources to get to a pretty powerful end. Especially if you would use the Desire, Super Poly, you could add tons of more options. So let's move on to the second test hand. Alrighty, second hand here, we got Reinhardt, Nessie, Instant Fusion, Jackalope, and Nessie. Pretty crazy hand. Instant Fusion is busted in this deck. Kit Kalos should not have been a level 5 fusion. But because we have dangers, we're going to set Instant Fusion. We're going to go Jackalope effect. If you're unfamiliar with the best way, not the best way, but like the popular way to randomize your dangers, I'm going to show you. So normally lay out your cards. We have 4 cards in hand, for example. You use a 6-sided die. So you go probably from left to right, you go, if it's a 1, it's that card, 2, that card, 3 card, that card, 4, that card. Then it's 5, 6, you reroll. So 5, we reroll. 5, we reroll. 3. So we're going to hit this card. The Danger Nessie. So we get to summon our Danger Jackalope. And we get to draw 1 card. So we have the Sullic, what we drew. Then you get to activate Nessie's effect to search for another danger. Because we want to get Curious on board, we're going to add Tsuchinoko, because that, even if it gets discarded, we're still going to get a summon. At this point, we're going to normal summon the Reinhardt, use Reinhardt effect. We want the Merrily Engrave, but we don't want to activate effect because we want to be able to use it with Kit Kalos, and we have the Kit Kalos access easy with Instant Fusion. So we play Instant Fusion. Go into Kit Kalos. Kit Kalos effect on summon. At this point, you want the... You have the trap already, so you can go for Havness. Because we're going to be able to get to the Top Logic Bomber, and this is just one way that you can set off Top Logic Bomber on your opponent's turn. We're then going to go Kit Kalos effect, targeting itself. So we summon the Merrily, send the Kit Kalos. And then like last time we structure a chain. Chain 1, chain 2. So we get to mill 8 cards. So pretty good mills at this point. We have 2 fusions. We're going to go Chainlink 2, Sheeran, Chainlink 1, Merrily. So Sheeran's going to go with the Kit Kalos into a Dragostapelia. And Merrily is going to go Chainlink 1, and when we resolve it, we're going to go the Reinhardt on field with the Sheeran and the Merrily into Kaleido Heart. Another card we're going to be able to do cool things when we trigger it under Top Logic Bomber. The rest go into Grave. So especially because we have Kaleido Heart now, we're going to save the Sullic and not waste it on Danger. We're then going to use Danger Nessie effect. So because it's 3 cards, the best way to do it random is you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we roll the 3, so hit the Tsuchinoko. So you summon the Nessie, draw 1. Unfortunately, we cannot resolve Tsuchinoko effect because our monster zones are full. What we can do next is we link 2 into Spright Elf. We can use Elf effect, and we can bring back the Merrily. Now that we have that set up, we can go into the same IP play. And then, unfortunately, we do not have the Gizmek or otherwise, but we will be able to trigger it with Happiness in hand. However, this Danger tier, let's play some risks. Zephyros the Elite effect, return the Jackalope to hand, summon itself, take 400 damage. Whoops. Then we're going to use Jackalope effect. Even if we hit the Jackalope, it's going to summon something, so we're fine. So 1, hit the Jackalope, Jackalope effect. All we got to do is summon something that's not a Winged Beast and not an Aqua. Pretty easy in Dangers, because we can just summon the Mothman. We can then link 3 into Curious. We're going to go Curious effect, sending our Fairy Tale Snow, because that's going to help us combo off. Then Curious Mandatory effect. We're going to use Happiness, because we have not used it to fusion this turn yet. So we can fuse it with our Merrily. Into a Garura. Now, sort of think what's better, having the IP set up or having the Dragostapelia on board. But I think at this case, we're first going to link 4, because we can't use those 2 for IP, to go into an Appaloosa. So Appaloosa has 1600 attack, and we're going to get Garura effect to draw 1 card. And you get a Primeval Planet Paralino. That's pretty good. So we'll play Paralino. Paralino effect, we'll search. We want a Rhinoheart for follow-up, because we will be able to play that and get a fusion summon right off our next turn. At this point, you want to use Fairy Tale Snow. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 to summon Fairy Tale Snow. We can then link the 2 into IP Masquerena. So we still have Merrily Engrave. So I'd say this is a pretty solid board because you have the Sullick for effect negation with Kaleido Heart. So even through Dark Ruler, we still get an effect negation. And then Kaleido Heart will get to summon itself back and cause another fusion, which we can use to recycle something like, I think at this point we just have Mudragon and Kalos, but you can still recycle your fusions in that point. So same thing as before. Let's say your opponent passes turn, you go, they do whatever, you go chain 1 Spright Elf, chain 2 IP Masquerena. If they try and do anything, you can Appaloosa negate. So you link the 2. Topologic Bomber. And then you summon out the Merrily. And then goes chain 1 Bomber, chain 2 Merrily. So you get to mill 3. And then you blow up the field. Then you can go chain 1 Merrily, chain 2 Kaleido Heart. So Kaleido Heart will summon. You can send, because you have a Havness engraved that you can trigger, you want to send a Sheeran. And then if you want, you can trigger Kaleido Heart then, but I doubt it because you blew up everything with Bomber already, so they shouldn't have any more monsters on board. And then you can fuse the Dragostapelia and the Merrily into a Mudragon. What this will let you do is now you can use the Sheeran that you just dumped to fuse itself and the Mudragon back into Dragostapelia. So you're able to loop it, have so many interruptions for your opponent plays. I think even under Dark Ruler No More, like, you still are able to trigger the Kaleido Heart. You have so much fallout for hand. You can trigger the Bomber Dragon with Havness. You can trigger the Bomber Dragon with Fairy Tale Snow. So I see very little ways you're losing the duel at this point. So those are just the 2 test hands I thought I'd show off. The one, even with a pretty mediocre hand, we got to 3 monsters. As long as we had Merrily on board, you're able to do the Topologic Bomber play, especially we had some lucky mills and we were able to trigger it multiple times. In the second play, you saw it takes a bit of luck, takes a bit of relying on the dangers, but you can get to a pretty scary board that's able to react to your opponent's plays in a multitude of ways. So that's all I have for today. If you liked the video, let me know, and I will see you in the next one.